Hi guys, my name is Vicky and welcome to Mood Fox. So I know you guys that Halloween has already passed, but nevertheless, I still wanted to share this video with you how I created my costume for this Halloween. But this had to be like done really quickly. Like this is like quick type of costume making. It took me like maybe 4 days just because of the sewing, and the sewing machine was kind of funky. So I'm going to show you the whole process how I created this costume. The only thing, everything is basically handmade. I bought the fabric. It was like about max 10 euros. I bought the materials that I need for a headpiece. I'm going to show you the process also, and it also like costed max 10 euros. And then I just bought a dress. That's the only thing that I didn't have to create, was the dress that I had underneath the cape. And that was basically from my friend that has like a gothic shop, and it was a beautiful sleek dress, sexy, with a V shape cut here on the titties. So although it's late for Halloween, but I still hope you enjoy this video and maybe get inspired for the next one. So I am currently working on Maleficent's cape, and this is the fabric that I got. It's very lovely. And there is Epi. And this is going to be the inner part of the cape. Very beautiful. First, this is like 2 meters long. I took more of this fabric just because I wanted to make the neck part that she has, and it has to be like you have to put something like this inside. It's kind of like a fabric paper that is going to make your neckline, or how do we call it, a bit more firmer, so it will keep its shape, because she has like a weirdly shaped neck piece. I just cut out a simple shape of this neckline, and I'm going to cut this part all the way, because it's going to be like we need one part, and then flip over the fabric and we have like outer and inner part, because this needs to be hidden inside. First, we are going to safety pin the fabric paper onto the fabric that we're going to cut. Okay, so I managed to find something like this in my mom's place, so we're going to use it as a ruler. So I only found a black charcoal, so we're going to have to use this. It's I tried it on a small piece here, and it was quite visible, so we're going to try to work with this. So like I said, first we have to draw the line to make the cutting more easier. I would recommend to try a lighter shade of chalk, but I don't have one, so better to use a white, yellow, or a blue one. So this fabric is really hard to cut because it's very stretchy. So I always have to stretch it to cut it, but I have to be really careful because as I stretch it, I can't really see the line. So now we finally have the fabric cut, and we're going to fold it in half just to cut out the excess piece. So we cut the fabric straight but the fabric paper has a different angle of the ends, so I have to cut the fabric on the ends as well. So it's copying the shape of the fabric paper. It's going to help to sew it much more easier. So now I safety pinned the fabric paper onto the fabric, inner side of the fabric. Then I took the other piece of the fabric and I put it underneath the fabric and the paper with the texture facing up. So you have to imagine that we are now sewing the cover of the fabric paper inside out. So that's why I have those two fabrics on each other, texture-wise facing each other, if you understand what I mean. You can also sew the fabric paper onto the fabric that is underneath just to make it stay in place. Although it would be inside, it still won't move. If you have a fabric that is very easy to torn on the ends, you have to sew the fabric around the ends. Because my fabric is quite stable, I'm just going to do like a wavy type of sewing. You can connect with the thread both sides of the neckline and also the upper part, then pull it inside out to cover up the fabric paper, and you can leave the bottom part open. I did sew it, but then I have to open it up. You're going to see why. So now we're going to do the rest of the cape. Because the cape is very wide, we're going to have to fold the fabric in harmonica style to make it much more smaller to fit it into the neck part. So it's not very hard to hand sew this, but I'm going to have to use a sewing machine because it's much more faster, but it's also possible to sew it by hand. Now we're just going to safety pin the harmonica and also safety pin it to the neckline so it won't move as you're sewing. So okay, I have set my sewing machine, I think. I inherited this from my grandmother and I'm not that good, nor do I know how to work with this, but I'm learning, I'm trying. So first we're going to take a sample piece so we can, I hope you can see this. Well, it's not very hard to sew this by hand, but I'm in a time crunch, so I would like to do it a little bit faster. So safety goggles, safety first, because one time my needle broke and it hit me right under the eye. So yes, so let's see. It looks really okay. So I think we can try it now, but I think I'm going to have to do it do this part a couple of times because this is really heavy. It's oh guys, you can't even imagine how annoying my neighbors are. They have small children, they live above me, and I have nothing against children playing in their room, but they are so freaking annoying. They yell all the time, they cry all the time, they bounce so hard on the floor that my ceiling is shaking, like they're totally insane. I think you can teach your children a bit tolerance towards your neighbors, but I guess those don't give a fudge. Okay, so let's start. in reverse to fixate the sewing more. So I had to undo this neck part because I figured that I'm going to put the cape inside to make it look more neatly, because I tried to apply it to the neckline in many different ways, but it was really hard. So I think this is going to be much more easier to hide the messiness that would be here if I didn't do this step. Okay, so I did stuck this bottom part to the neckline and it was really hard. Now I have to be really careful so the back part would be nicely covered, and also the front. This is so heavy. Okay, I think I'm going to need to go through this a couple of times to make it more secure, because this is freaking heavy. Oh my god, so thick. That's what she said. Okay, where are my safety goggles? Now I can see very properly, but at least I won't get hit in the eye. 1 second, I just need to adjust this. So now that we have the cape part connected to the neckline, we're going to also sew the ends just to make it look more professional and neat. Now the real fun is going to start, because we're going to get more creative. The cape was fun, but the sewing machine was a real pain in the ass. So here is what you're going to need. So here are the edges. They're nicely covered up on each side. And it looks much more professional. But I didn't do the end because I was in a hurry, so the ends aren't connected, but the sides look so neat. I love them. Ah. I'm going to work on this baking paper, and we are going to need this headband, some wires, starch, of course paper, some pliers, and some balloons. I'm going to explain later. So let's go. So now we have to imagine where the horns are going to be, and on those parts we're going to wrap around one part of the wire. Then we're going to pull the wire up into a length, potential length of the horn, fold it in half and wrap the other part of the wire onto the first one, and then we're going to twist the wires just to create one stronger wire as a base for the horns. So now we have two strong wires, and now we're going to fold thick parts of paper around the wires into a horn-like shape. Now I'm going to take a paper tape that basically you'll use when you're painting, and I still had some leftovers, to secure the paper onto the wire. So next we're going to use again some newspaper and liquid starch. It's better to tear up more lines than random pieces of paper, because it's going to take up much more time, and lines are much more faster, and also they will cover up more and it's much more secure. Then we're going to do like a second layer, but now we're going to create like a texture on these horns. So I have thought about a staircase shape of the horns. So I'm going to again take lines of paper, fold them and wrap them around the horn. Taking the second folded paper soaked in liquid starch, and we're going to put it next to the first one, and we're going to create like a staircase shape. So the balloons were specifically to make this part. And then we're going to stick it to this. So I'm going to use the balloon instead of my head because I really don't want to use liquid starch on my face. And I'm going to cut out some triangular shaped pieces of paper soaked in liquid starch, and I'm going to put it basically where I think my forehead is. So now I'm lining the edges just to make them stronger and thicker. And I also noticed that she has like a texture in the middle. So I'm going to try to create it my way with curving the paper and smushing it. So now we're going to leave it to dry. And in the morning the headpiece was already dry and very sturdy, so I connected the triangular shape onto the horns with a glue gun. So the glue gun was on and I felt creative, so I did some drop shape textures on the inner part of the triangle. So after the glue dried up, I started to paint it with black acrylic paints, and I covered the whole headpiece with black color. But I did put green glitter onto the inner part of the textured triangle. So this is how the headpiece looks like. And now we're going to leave it dry, and I am in love with this part. From afar it looks very good. She has a fabric wrapped around her head, more time, so I have some leftovers from the cape, and I'm going to try to wrap my head around it. Like the result. So this is the headpiece. This is how it ended up, and the wire is still active, so I can still like a little bit manage the horns. And here is the fabric that I had. Still has above the pin. So I guess I'm going to try to show you what type of folding that I did to cover up my head. But I think I went like this. And I wanted to make it much more tighter around the ears because just to not make it too fat on this side so my head won't look too wide. So I tied it up and then I just hide my hair and I just fold it up inside. It did hurt my ears a little bit because it was really pushing onto my ears. And I think I did put this part a little bit too low. And if I could do this again, I would put it much more upper because it's really hurting my ears. So this is the dress that I was wearing. Basically simple black dress. Here we have the cutout for the knee to make it more sexy. It's not like all the way up, but it's like knee high. And here is the boob cutout, and you have it also on the back. So it's a little bit confusing. But I love this dress. So this is basically how the cape looks like. Green inside, black on the outside. And I just love the green. The green is wonderful. And it's not like perfect, like I have threads here and there. And I did find these, like, I don't know, how do you call them? Buttons? To button down the cape. Ooh, that neckline. So now I have the cape on me. It's a little bit darker in this corner, but it's the only place I have a mirror, so I hope you can see the beautiful green color. It's so nice. Here is how the neck part is holding up. And the paper is quite durable, so I can like bend it a little bit. You can make this much more tighter. I let it a little bit loose because of the dress, so you would see the dress. And the length is also perfect. I had high boots, so I didn't drag the cape behind me all the time. So it's like a perfect length. I'm so happy with this, and even happier because I did it myself. Oh my god, I can't even believe I did this. It's not perfect, it's not, but for me it is because it's like my first time sewing with the machine and making it neat. So this is basically all to this video. Hope you did like this delayed Halloween costume video, and I hope it got your creative juices flowing because it's never too late to be creative. I love this costume so much. It meant a lot to me just because I did it with my grandmother's sewing machine and I love her so much. I miss her. My aunt took her to a different country, so I don't get to see her as often, so I miss her a lot. So this is like a tribute to her. So again guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please let me know in the comments down below or by liking this video. If you want, you can also share it, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If you want, you can check me out on my Instagram accounts because I'm very often there. I also created a Patreon website, so if you want, you can check it out. It was a recommendation from one of you guys, and I thank you so much that you basically pushed me forwards to try something different, although I never wanted to try Patreon, but you showed me that it's okay. So thank you again so much for watching, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye!